To do your patient aging reports, you're going to go to the Reports menu and select Aging Reports from the drop-down list. On the right, you'll see a list of the most popular aging reports available in Metasoft. I'm going to start with the patient aging report first. This report is going to include all of the outstanding balances for all patients, regardless if insurance owes or the patient owes. It's all total balances. You're going to get this filter screen where you can narrow your results by chart number if you'd prefer to run the report for one specific patient or a range of patients. You can hit the three dots and it'll give you your selection to choose from, your patient charts. For this example, I'm going to leave this empty and it's going to include all charts. Next, you have your date from. This is an important date. This is the date of service that is keyed into your Metasoft. Not the date entered, but the date that is actually typed into your Metasoft. So the service date or the payment date that's typed in. So on this field here, if you put a date in this field, it's going to pull what's on or before that date range for the date of service. So if I put a date range in here of June 12th, it's not going to include any balances or any charges after this date. If you want to include all dates, you can leave this box empty and make sure there's a check mark in the box right below to show all values. You can also narrow down by attending provider, billing code, and patient indicator as well. The billing code and the patient indicator are two fields that are in your patient's chart, so I will show you where those are. If I pull up and open a patient's chart, those two fields are located under the Other Information tab. And here you have the patient billing code, and underneath that you have patient indicator. Both of these are used for reporting purposes, so you can narrow down on the patients you want to include on certain reports. So for example, this patient has a Medicare billing code and a Medicare patient indicator. So I can use either one of those if I want to run my report and only include my Medicare patients. I can put the billing code here for Medicare on both sides and run my report, and it will only include my Medicare patients. This is another good code to use for cash patients as well. So you can run reports for cash patients only if you want to get a list of those outstanding balances. So I'm going to leave all of my fields empty, so it's going to include all patients, all dates of service for all providers, and all billing codes. And this is what the patient aging report looks like. It gives you your grand totals at the bottom along with percentages. Next, I'm going to run the patient remainder aging. And this is a good report to use if you want to get balances, true patient balances after insurance is paid. So it's not going to include any pending insurance payments that you're waiting on, only after insurance is paid. And same thing here for the filters. On all of your Metasoft reports, it gives you this screen where you can narrow down your results by chart. This one also has billing code and patient indicator. I'm going to run it for all patients. And this is what the patient remainder aging report looks like. This one's going to break it out by date of service, procedure code, and again, it gives you your aging brackets with your grand totals on the end. And it gives your total aging summaries at the bottom of the report. The next report I want to show you is your insurance aging reports. You will have different reports for your primary, secondary, and your tertiary aging reports. So I'm going to run this top one for primary insurance aging. This is the most popular. And again, on this aging report, it's going to give us filters. Now this one is a little bit different. You do want to plug a date in this initial billing date in this middle field here. This will give you the results for claims billed on or before this date. So a good example for this is you don't want to include in your report, you don't want to include claims that you've just sent out last week or the week before. So Liz, can you take that part out, please? Okay, Liz, I'm going to start with where I say this, where this filter screen pops up. This report also gives you the filter screen, but on this filter screen it's a little bit different. You're definitely going to want to put a date in this middle section here that says initial billing date 1 is on or before, so that you don't pull in claims on your report that have just been billed yesterday or even in the past few weeks, because that's not enough time to allow for processing and payment of those claims. So those claims are not claims you should be worried about as far as aging is concerned. So I'm going to put a date in here of a month prior, so that leaves it's not going to include any claims that have been billed out in the last 30 days. That way I don't need to worry about those. You can also narrow down by insurance company if you would like. So a good example for this is if you want to run the aging report for insurance companies that have a very short timely filing period, you can click on the little 3 dots and select your insurance company. So United Healthcare, for example, is a good one. So if I wanted to do just, I don't have that one on my list, but if I wanted to do just Cigna claims, I can plug in my Cigna code in both of the fields, and it will only include my Cigna in this report. Again, if you want to include all insurance companies, leave both of those filters empty and make sure the box is checked to show all fields. And you can also narrow down by attending provider as well. And this is what that report looks like. This is the primary insurance aging report. And on this report, it does include, first of all, it breaks it out by insurance company. So you can see here it groups together, here's my Aetna claims. And then it goes to Cigna. It's going to put them in alphabetical order by insurance company name. And then underneath that, it also is going to give each patient's chart, patient's name. Underneath the patient's name, it's going to give the initial billing date, so you can see how many times this claim was billed. So this is the first time the claim was billed. The last billing date. It also gives the policy number. And up to the right, it gives your contact name at Aetna and the phone number. So if you needed to, you could pick up the phone and call Aetna and follow up on this claim. And then it also, again, it puts the dollar amount owed, or the aging amount, in the bracket. So for this particular patient, this patient owes $386, and it's over 121 days past due. Again, with this report, if you look at the very bottom or the end of all of your reports, you will find your report's total. So here's my grand total for my patient aging. If you have someone listed on your report, this one, for example, in the middle for Medicaid, and it shows a $0 balance, it is still showing up on the report because the payment line was not marked as complete. So if the payment line in your Metasoft is not marked as complete, it will think the system thinks that you're still waiting on an insurance payment until you mark that payment as complete. And then I also want to show you some additional aging reports. If you go to your Reports menu and go down to the Metasoft Reports module, it takes a second to open. There are additional aging reports. If you type in the word aging, and hit Find Now, these are all of the available aging reports in Metasoft. You can run any of these by double-clicking on it and click again to run, and it gives you your filters just like all of the others. You can narrow down by filter and just click OK to generate the reports. Thank you.